Hello Airsoft community, and particularly the Hi-Capa community. In this video I'll be demonstrating how you can repair or upgrade all of the seals in your Hi-Capa magazines in order to keep them airtight. I'll be showcasing my first product, the FrogAirsoft Super-Seals, custom design O-rings made for Tokyo Marui Hi-Capa magazines. I'll be changing out the O-rings on this 4.3 magazine today, but this set will fit all 4.3 and 5.1 TM mags. This mag is working just fine at the moment, but it is quite old, so the O-rings are most likely dried out somewhat. I also like to use red or black gas in this particular gun, so it can be a bit tough on the magazine internals given their design for 134A or green gas. Before you start any work on the magazine, you'll need to empty the gas. The best way to do this is to fire the gun until empty. If a small amount of gas remains, just push on the knocker valve to empty completely. You should avoid venting all the gas using the valve, as this will freeze the O-rings and other parts of the valve. Using the correct tool, unscrew the knocker valve completely. You may need to give the magazine a shake or a light tap to get the valve out. Here you can see the knocker valve. When the striker on the gun hits this, it will allow gas between the frontmost O-ring and the gap. This is why having a good seal at this point is essential for longevity of the system. Next, you can remove the base plate of the magazine. A large Phillips head screwdriver will give you the best purchase, and avoid stripping your screw head. Keep your thumb over the base plate as you remove it, as the spring tension is being held in by only this screw. Take out the spring and the magazine follower. On the base side, you'll find a tensioner which keeps your magazine base plate in place. Keep this safe and to one side. Next, take your smaller valve tool and unscrew the refill valve from the base. Again, this may get stuck if there's some lubricant or grease on the seals. In this case, just push it through the top with something lightly. This is our gas fill valve, just like in a butane lighter. This O-ring is another high failure point and something that should be regularly serviced. I don't recommend installing silent fill O-rings on your TM valves, it just leads to more leaks. We'll put that to one side and focus on the base plate. Make a visual inspection. This one looks as if it's factory stock. To remove this O-ring, you're going to need a flat tool of some kind. A flathead screwdriver works well here, just be mindful if you intend to use the same O-ring again that you don't pierce or damage the seal when removing. Just get your tool between the gap and underneath your seal to remove. You can see here this one is quite dry and warped, but generally in good condition. Again, just check the edges where your O-ring sits for any kind of dirt or damage. You want a nice clean smooth surface to get the mag as airtight as possible. You now have all the key parts of your magazine apart for a full service. Now would be the perfect time to clean each part thoroughly from oil and grease with a cloth or paper towels. This mag is pretty clean, so we'll move straight on. Each pack of Super-Seals contains enough O-rings to completely rebuild 3 TM magazines to better than new functionality. The largest of the O-rings is your main base seal. You want to lubricate completely the channel where your O-ring will sit. Just a few drops on each edge will do it. In this case I'm using Abbey silicone gun oil. Place your O-ring on the channel and while holding it in place, stretch it until it completely fits into the gap. Again, lubricate the outside of the O-ring completely. There's no need to drown it, just smooth the oil all over the surface of the seal. Next, our knocker valve. This part can be the most tricky, so just take your time and try and have some patience with it. Again, a flat tool will be quite useful to remove the largest of the 3 seals, but be gentle not to scrape any of the screw threads. The top 2 O-rings, I find the best way to remove with ease is to take a set of fine tip pliers and just pinch the seal to remove easily. For your knocker valve, you'll want to get your O-rings in order. The small chubby ones are your frontmost, and then the other 2 are the most similarly sized O-rings. But be sure to check them, as the slightly smaller will act as your middle, and larger of the 2 fitting just by the threads. It's pretty straightforward to get the first 2 smallest in place using just your hands. For the last one, if you struggle, I'd recommend using a small blunt tool to help you. While holding it in place on one side, slide your tool in and this will help you gently stretch the O-ring into position. For this, I'm using round-headed tweezers, which will avoid damaging the O-rings. Once you've checked all the seals are correctly in place, apply some more silicone oil to the O-rings directly. That's the hardest part out of the way. The smallest of your O-rings will be for your fill valve. Again, I like to use pliers to save time getting the old ones off. If you struggle getting this O-ring on, again, using something blunt or rounded to help you lever it into place is the best method. More silicone oil, just enough to keep the seal fresh. In this case, we don't require a seal on this screw, however we're going to add one anyway. If you have TM magazines with a washer and O-ring, just replace in order: screw, washer, O-ring, and you should be good to go. Here we have all of our newly upgraded parts ready to be assembled back into a complete magazine. A top tip for keeping that large base O-ring lubricated and in good condition, I do recommend a touch of silicone grease. I like the Abbey stuff as it's colourless, odourless and mixes well with their silicone oil. Just take a little bit out on your finger and smooth it all around the main seal. You can skip this step if you don't have any grease to hand, but it does help keep your base from any future leaks. To reassemble, insert your magazine follower and spring. If you have a wide BB channel like on this mag, you can hold the spring in with your thumb before installing the base pad button. Take your magazine base and slide it into place gently. Keep hold of the base with your thumb as it's now under spring tension. Next is the magazine base screw. These don't always line up perfectly, so just take your time with it. You want your base screw to be hand tight. There's no need to go Hulk mode here, just enough to keep your seals where they should be and avoid the base screw from backing out. Next, your fill valve. Insert and line up properly. It's good practice here to unscrew while pushing inwards until you hear thread line up. This will help you avoid any cross threading. Again, hand tight here is fine. Next is the knocker valve. Again, you can see I'm backing up the thread until I feel or hear an audible click of the thread lining up. Careful not to over tighten this, it shouldn't need to be super tight. Next, we can gas up the magazine to check that we have an airtight seal. Once filled, visually inspect, but also place the magazine to your ear to see if you can hear any small leaks. Reinstall your base pad and test with your gun. Fire a few shots and re-inspect for any leaks. You can test the tension on your knocker valve, just press it a few times. Here you can see no issues at all. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video and that this was a help to you. If you're interested in buying my FrogAirsoft Super-Seals, check the description for links. Thanks for watching, and thanks to everyone who's already purchased the product.